What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my NFL Week 6 NFL Power Rankings. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down all 32 teams, where they rank heading into Week 6. But before I get into it, subscribe to our channel to be entered into our giveaway at 500 subscribers. 32 are the Carolina Panthers, the only winless team left in the NFL. Didn't really show up here until the fourth quarter against the Lions, as they didn't do anything good. Bryce Young, though, did have a decent game along with his top weapon, Adam Thielen, but it's going to be a long season for this team, as more than likely they're going to fall to 0-6 as they face Miami this week. 31 are the Patriots, another awful showing. They didn't even score. Belichick's second worst loss of his career after suffering his worst loss of the career the week before. And the quarterback situation is going to be the key factor moving forward. It's going to be Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi. Then Ramondre Stevenson, you can see his stats there through 5 games. He needs to get it going here if this Patriots team wants to possibly win some games. And yeah, I know they're not in a position to run the ball, but they got to figure it out at some point. 30 are the New York Giants, and another tough loss on the road to the Dolphins. Daniel Jones shouldn't be injured for too long. There's still a chance he can play in Buffalo this week, but it's just a rough go. And if they don't have Saquon, there's not a good chance they're going to win any game. 29 are the Broncos. They melt down yet again. And, the talk before the season, this was a big game for both of these teams, Sean Payton and Nathaniel Hackett. And, well, it's not even Russ's fault at this point. It's just the defense. The defense can't contain anybody. And even when they force 4 turnovers, they still can't stop enough people, because besides that, they scored on almost every other drive. And now they get Kansas City on Thursday Night Football. And, they got to win this game if they want to possibly make the playoffs this year. 28 are the Cardinals. They've fallen back down to earth here after their Cowboy win a few weeks ago. And Jamar Chase pretty much took over this game. And that was the weakness for the Cardinals in this one. Kyler still a few weeks out. James Conner possibly out a few weeks as well. And the Cardinals here, it's going to be a long year for him, as a lot of us expected. The Commanders take a big jump back. After a good start to the season, they lost to the Bears at home by 20, and they gave up 27 in the first half. DJ Moore obviously went off, Fields went off, but I do like how this team is starting to figure it out. They just need to be able to run the ball better, and it should be, I think, a very low-scoring game against the Falcons, more than likely a 2-touchdown game that's going to decide it. And whoever can run the ball better is probably going to win that game. Vikings fall 2 spots after their tough loss to the Chiefs. They're 1-4, obviously, in the record, and they're also 1-4 in one-possession games this year after going 11-0 last year. So it's just not falling on them. Justin Jefferson injured his hamstring, and now I can confirm he's out for at least 4 weeks, as they're putting him on IR. And till this team has a run game, I don't see this Vikings team doing too much, and I can honestly see them losing in Chicago to the Bears now. And those Bears jump all the way up to 25 after that big win. Fields, more already talked about it, went off. Cole Kmet has been the wide receiver 2 this year, and I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. But a very big game for both of these teams, the Bears and Vikings. Whoever can win that goes to 2-4 and still can possibly have some hope for a playoff berth. The Jets moved to 2-3 after their win on the road against the Broncos. A huge second half with a 23-point half. Gets that win for Nathaniel Hackett after the criticism he received early in the preseason. And then after this Eagles game, they have the Giants, Chargers, and Raiders. And those are going to be the games that decide to me if this team still has a shot at the playoffs, or if they're already looking forward to Rodgers coming back next year. But it was great to see Breece Hall finally breaking out of his shell of the limitations and now full go. And you can see there he had a great game. The Raiders move up 4 after their win on Monday Night Football against the Packers. First primetime win in a while. I think it's the first time they've beat the Packers since 1987. And this team has a very interesting schedule moving forward. They have the Bears, Patriots this week, then the Bears, Lions, Giants, and Jets. And Lions are the only winning team right now. So if they can go 4-5 in that stretch, win 4 or 5, you're looking at a 6-4 football team here heading into week 11. So the Raiders have it all in front of them. All they have to do is just go out and perform. Titans fall to 22. Too many missed opportunities for this team. They had their chances at the end to win it. Red zone, couldn't do anything. And it's just, I don't know how this team can get any better. It's going to be a tough game at home against the Ravens, as they're coming off with a loss, but Tajay Spears looked good in the Derrick Henry counterpart. I think those two guys are going to be good moving forward. And D Hop looked good as well. But Tannehill, he's got to perform better if they want to win games. My Packers take a huge tumble back here as they suffer a tough loss on the road to the Raiders. Defense played great, limiting the offense to only 2 touchdowns. But Jordan Love had his worst game of his career. 3 interceptions, couldn't really get the ball moving. And Christian Watson, though, big in another role. That horse collar tackle that Marcus Peters had on Christian Watson saved a touchdown and saved 4 points. And what they do, lose by 4. So, it all comes down after the bye. If the Packers can come out of the bye, beat the Broncos, get back to 3-3, I think you're still looking at possibly a wild card team. Rams, tough loss at home to the Eagles, get the Cardinals this week. And the Puka and Cooper Kupp duo is going to be very hard to stop, especially with this Cardinals defense. Both of those guys are going to be hard to contain, and more than likely they're going to have similar games almost every time, around 10 catches and 1 or 2, maybe both could have touchdowns. But this Rams team is a very interesting team to watch as we keep going in the season. Texans fall to 19 after coming back, leading a game-winning drive just to have Desmond Ridder have his own game-winning drive and kick a game-winning field goal. And Stroud has probably been the favorite for Rookie of the Year right now on offense, maybe Achane. But Stroud hasn't thrown a pick in his first 177 attempts, most all time to be an NFL career. And he has lots of weapons around him. And I think this Texans team is a lot better than a lot of people thought. And they contend in almost every game. So I expect them to be a tough team to play throughout the rest of the year. Bengals move up after beating the Cardinals. Finally, this team showed up, Jamar especially. But now they get the Seahawks at home. And if they can beat the Seahawks, get back to 500, then I think all that panic is gone. And the Bengals are back, really, because they're only a game back in the AFC North, too, with the Ravens losing. Steelers beat those Ravens by a touchdown, and this was more in part to the Ravens' collapse rather than the Steelers' comeback. But they did make some nice plays to get the win, getting the interception late, the forced fumble that they recovered to seal it. But the offense still is struggling. Kenny Pickett, the throw to George Pickens for the touchdown, that was the only pretty much highlight of the game for the Steelers as they look to go into the bye week to figure out how they can improve this offense. Browns come out of the bye week to face the Niners at home. Nick Chubb, obviously he's still out for the year. And now that he's officially out and they've had their week and a half to prepare for the Niners, they should have a decent showing on the ground. And if they don't, then obviously the Niners have a really good defense, but they got to start things fresh, pretty much like the season's just starting here coming out of the bye. Colts move up to 15 after beating the Titans, go on the road to face Jacksonville, and they've struggled with Jacksonville in years past. But the biggest concern for them is Anthony Richardson, possibly out for a few weeks, spraining his AC joint. But Gardner Minshew is a great backup to have, and I think they're not going to miss a beat. Just the rushing that Richardson has, they'll have to dial those plays back. But Zach Moss looks great, and I think that'll be his last big game, as Jonathan Taylor will have a bigger workload moving forward. Falcons move up as well after beating the Texans. The game-winning field goal by Younghoe Koo gives the Falcons that win that they needed, and now they get the Commanders at home. And I mentioned it, whoever runs the ball better in this one is going to get the win. The Saints take a huge jump as well, just because they went on the road, beat the Patriots, shut them out. And they face the AFC South at this point, Houston, Jacksonville, and Indy. Those are all winnable games for this team, and you could be looking at a 6-2 team when it's all said and done. As long as Derek Carr doesn't commit mistakes and can do what he did in this Patriots win, then I think the Saints are going to be a team for the second half of the season that's going to come out strong. The Ravens moved down to 12, falling out of the top 10. Ugly loss, blocked punt for a safety, 3 and out, interception, a fumble, and then downs is what happened for all their drives in the fourth quarter. So lots of missed opportunities, dropped passes. They weren't on the same page in the second half. So they got to get that figured out heading into this week against the Titans, which have not as good of a defense as the Steelers. And I think the Ravens do rebound in this one. Chargers come out of the bye week to face the Cowboys at home. And, this team looks like a wild card team yet again. I don't think they're going to contend in the West just because the Chiefs have started to figure things out. But they get the win at home against the Cowboys. Then I think the Chargers are going to turn some heads and really tell some people that they are for real and not a fluke playoff team like they were last year. And those Cowboys fall to 10. I'm not taking them out of the top 10. And yes, I know that they played bad, but I just think the Niners are that good. I get that they're supposed to have a top defense in the league and whatnot, but it's tough to stop that offense. Not a lot of teams can. Obviously, they're 5-0, so all the other teams are 0-5 on that task trying to stop the Niners. But Dak's got to play better. Those 3 interceptions, he said coming into the year he's going to limit that. Hopefully, that's his worst game of the year as the Cowboys look to move forward. The Jaguars jump into the top 10 with their win over the Bills, and they just dominated the possession, almost held this for 2/3 of the game, almost 500 yards of offense. Lawrence and Ridley looked good. Etienne had his best game this year as well. And they get the Colts, and as I said, they've dominated the Colts in the last few years. The Jaguars really need this win here to stay atop the AFC South. Bucks move up 2 spots after the bye week, and they get Detroit, and which should be a very good game on prime time. Can this team actually win the NFC South? That's the biggest question for me. They've played great through 4 games, but now it starts setting in that, oh, this team is pretty solid. Let's see what they're changing expectations if they can handle that. Seahawks move up 1 out of their bye week, and they come off of a 3-game win streak going into Cincinnati. They get a win there. Might be looking at a top 5 team at this point next week, but that's a tough task for them because, Cincy really needs that win as well. Bills fall out of my top 5 after that loss. I'm not dropping them a lot like a lot of other power rankings do. This team is still very good, and another injury yet on defense with Matt Milano, more than likely out for the year. But I get that Von Miller's back, but losing Milano is a huge blow after they've lost Tre'Davious White. So the Bills defense is on shambles. They signed Josh Norman, but as long as this offense can play like how they did in the fourth quarter consistently in all 4 quarters, it's going to be tough to slow down the Bills. And I expect them to hang a 40 burger here on the Giants. Yes, the Detroit Lions have entered my top 5 after their beatdown of the Panthers. They are leading the NFC North by 2 games through week 5, and I don't think a lot of people would have saw that coming. First time leading the division in October or later since 2016, and they're clicking on all cylinders. They didn't even have Jahmyr Gibbs in this game, but here they are figuring out different ways to win ball games, and Sam Laporta was a huge factor in this one with his only 3 catches. And Lions-Bucks game, I think, is going to tell a lot about both of these teams and how they play. And I think the Lions can go in there and honestly get a win. It's just a matter of if they can stifle Baker and the Bucks offense. Dolphins jump back into the top 5 after briefly falling out as Achane and Tyreek Hill lead the win in a very fast performance. This guys lead the league in the fastest runs. 7 out of the 8 fastest runs in the league this year have been by these guys on the Dolphins. Achane, though, is probably going to miss a few games with his knee injury. So Raheem Mostert, fire him back up in fantasy. He's going to get all those touches. And Jeff Wilson Jr. could possibly be back as well this week. So that's a name to look into as well. But as long as Tua stays healthy, we've seen how good this Dolphins team can be. And they get the Panthers this week and should be probably another blowout for these Dolphins. Chiefs stay at 3 after their win on the road against the Vikings. The biggest concern for me in this one wasn't how the defense played or offense played, but it was the Travis Kelce incident, going down, non-contact injury, hurting his ankle. But he came back, got a touchdown, played well. And I think that's something to monitor moving forward. It wouldn't be shocking if he sits out this Thursday night football game against the Broncos just for cause of concern because it's still early in the season. Eagles stay at 2 with their win on the road against the Rams. This defense showed up, didn't let the Rams score in the second half. The turning point in this game was a 74-yard touchdown drive right before half where Hurts snuck it in on the brotherly shove. And as long as they got that play going for them and it still works, the Eagles are going to be tough to stop. And they face the Jets this week. I think it's going to be a tougher test facing that defense. But if they can put up probably 20 or more, I think they're going to walk out of there with a win. And it was good to see Dallas Goedert finally getting involved. At 1, yet again, are the 49ers. I already mentioned it. Defense was great in this one. Just completely kind of dismissed all those talks of Dallas being a top 3 defense in the league with a 42-point performance. And it's kind of looking to me like this is going to be a Eagles 49ers NFC Championship rematch. And maybe the Lions are that outlier that can squeak in there and possibly get there as of week 5. It's going to be tough for me to not imagine the Niners getting there with Brock Purdy playing as well as he's playing. He's not getting enough credit in the media for how good he is. And they're trying to compare him and whatnot. But Brock Purdy right now in the NFL is a top 5 quarterback, and agree to disagree with me. And I get the offense and system he's in, but you still got to go out there and perform. And he is just electric right now. And McCaffrey, another great game, 15th straight game with a touchdown. Kittle, 3 TDs, 3 catches, 67 yards. Can't play any better than that. And the Browns, good luck stopping this team. That's going to be it for my video this week. Make sure you guys check back next week to see where all these teams rank and see where your favorite team is. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.